there. What's up, buddy? Welcome back. How you doing? Oh, now I can't hear him. Hold on. One second. One second.
That's my fault. That's my fault.
Okay, okay,
That's my
okay,
fault.
okay. I've been having so many audio issues. I just assumed it was me. But all right, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How about you? I'm sorry I wasn't around for the the intro.
Nah. It's okay. It's okay. We know. That's pretty typical for my stream. You know, they make fun of me. I'm always not only late, but very unprepared. I was making a joke moment ago that I actually at least was a little prepared this time. I got a flow, for the podcast. But yeah, man. First of all, I just want to say big shout out to you. Thank you so much for coming on. From the first time I ever reached out to you about co-casting just for tips, whatever. You've been super down to earth. So I love that. But yeah, we're gonna get straight into it. There he is in Twitch. So I guess we're gonna get started with Rocket League in general. When did you start playing Rocket League? If you know kind of a time frame. And when did you know that you kind of wanted to take it serious?
I started playing Rocket League just about when it came out. So I don't know how long you've been around Rocket League, but if you've been around for a while,
A little bit.
there was a time when the PlayStation Plus had it for free,
I
like a couple of months after it came out.
Yep.
And
I got it
so,
then as well. It's a funny thing. I,
yeah,
I just didn't play it. I played it like twice. I asked my friend. I said, "What little kid trash game did you just get me to download?" And never didn't play it till like about 2019 again. But go ahead. Sorry.
no, I mean, yeah, that I've played. My roommate actually had the PlayStation, and he's the one who downloaded it, and I just played it on his PlayStation a couple times and thought it was like silly. But when I played it, I was like, man, it's like kind of like really hard, and I don't
Yeah.
know, it's just very interesting how hard it is. I thought it was going to be like simpler, and so me and my buddies would just play against bots, my roommates and stuff. So it just went from there. I mean, I thought I was never gonna like really like it. I kept liking to play on the PlayStation, and then my roommate wanted to like do a study group or something out in where the TV was, and I like debated for a long time. It's like, am I really about to pay $20 for this free game so I can play it on my PC
Yeah.
instead of his PlayStation? And I like paced around. I'm pretty sure I was like, is it gonna be a waste? Is it gonna be a waste? But yeah, I did it. And I played for a long time, like way before I ever streamed. But as far as getting into Rocket League, yeah, I was on there pretty much right away. As far as Rocket League's history, I didn't do SARP, but I was there early for Rocket League.
Nice. And yeah, I kind of kick myself because I'm a little bit older. I'm 34. I should be 35 in October of this year. And yeah, I kick myself because I'm like, man, 2015. I wasn't young for the Rocket League scene, but I was about a decade. It's been around just about a decade now. I was a good bit younger. Like, man, what if I would have taken it serious from back then? But yeah, so let me ask you, what's do you still play ranked? Do you have much time to still play competitively nowadays?
Yeah, I still play competitively is an interesting way to put it.
Okay, okay.
I would say I never really played competitively in the sense that like a lot of people could use that word exclusively
Right,
for like tournaments or RLCS, all that kind of stuff.
right.
But I do play competitive in the fact that I play the ranked mode, which
Gotcha.
they call
Yeah.
competitive. Uh, I play. I was looking at my like tracker. It looks like I play like every couple weeks, pretty much. I get to get some games in.
Okay.
I always just get my Grand Champ rewards every season since I first got them, which was a while ago. Um, but yeah, I just make sure I at least get there. Usually it ends up being like about 100 to 200 twos games per in-game season. That's
Okay.
how much I play.
So not too bad. I'm this is one of my worst seasons. We're flipping a house. I do real estate. We're flipping a house, and man, we I didn't realize how much hard labor was going to go into it. So my time has been like none. So I probably have 50, 60 matches played this whole season. And it's funny you say
Wow.
that. I don't know if it's like a content creator thing, but I do the same exact thing. I got GC rewards in like season 7, and pretty much every season that's just kind of the one goal is just continue the GC rewards. Let me ask you, because this is something I don't know, and I'm sure Challenge knows as well. What was your kind of peak in rank? What was your peak MMR?
It was 1600 something, and I think it was before Grand Champ 2 existed.
Okay.
I've gotten Grand Champ 2 later, since it's existed. But yeah, but my best Rocket League was probably being played when it did not exist.
Okay.
So I guess that was before free to play, right? Didn't it come out at free to play?
Yeah, yeah,
Something.
yeah. Free to play.
So
Yeah.
so yeah, the original season 9 is when I first got Grand Champ, and then uh probably a couple seasons after that, I probably got 1600 something.
Nice. So
But
you've been around for a minute now.
yeah, like I said, I played the original. I played originally in 2015. I was gold in season 1, which was the highest rank. But there was platinum, which was top 100,
Wow.
or like, and so there was basically top 100, then gold, silver, bronze.
Okay.
So I got gold 1. I got like the bottom of gold in the very first season of Rocket League, and then they started changing it up from there. I was like rising star for a bit when that was a
Yeah.
thing. I think that was a thing for like 1 or 2 seasons, and then once it became what it is now, which has been for a really long time, like I don't know if I might have finished 1 season as diamond, and then was champ, and then grand champ, and
Gotcha.
then I've just been grand champ ever since.
Nice. So, I guess we'll stop being around the bush. We'll get to the what the big questions we want to ask. When and what kind of a two-parter question? You'll notice as we get through it. I kind of like the two-parter questions. But when did you kind of start with the show matches? And did regular casting come first, or did it kind of start with the show matches?
Everything came from the show matches. I started streaming, played for a long time, started streaming in, shoot, I'd have to go check. It was a while ago. I streamed for like a few years where I would just do my own gameplay as part of the
Yeah.
stream. And then it was 2019, I think, when I decided I wasn't going to do that anymore, early 2019, that I was no longer going to stream my gameplay. If I streamed, I was just going to do show matches because I liked watching Johnny. And I was like, if my stream were ever to really catch on, it'd probably have to be through other people's gameplay. I wasn't, I was whatever, I was grand champ. It wasn't that good.
Yeah.
And so I figured also it was just more fun. Like when I would play ranked and you can lose. Like
Yeah.
one of the things that can happen is you can log in, just lose like 20 games and then get off and you're like, wow, I just feel terrible and I
Right.
didn't have fun, and like that was what a waste of my time. And as you have less and less time, like it hurts to lose a ton and then just be like the one time you get to play, it wasn't even fun.
Yeah.
So the streams, I noticed like you couldn't lose when hosting a show match pretty much. Like it just
Yeah.
other people played and you just commentated and then the stream ended and then it was usually pretty good and it's pretty hard to lose. So I was much happier doing that, and so I said I'm just do that forever. I actually originally said I was going to do it for 1 month. I was like, March is going to
A
be the show
test.
match month, and I'm gonna do only show matches in all of March, and then I'll go back maybe if I want to. But it
It's
just
funny.
obviously caught on and never
Yeah.
stopped.
Let me ask you, you might not really remember, but were you already somewhat popular before the show matches? I mean, did you have an audience that was already there watching the show matches pretty much, I guess, is my question when you started them.
No, I had pretty much nobody watching. I mean, I had some. The way that I got people to watch me at the beginning, which I think is the way that a lot of common people do, is the in-game tournaments. Like if you throw your Twitch stream
Yeah.
on them,
Yeah.
then you usually get like what I remember when I was doing it. Like I'd have like 5 people watching, and then like 20 or so people would watch if I
Yeah.
did during the tournament. So I did that a lot.
Nice.
So I would say that I had just those viewers. I'm looking at right now. It looks like before I started doing show matches, like 15 average viewers or something. So I wouldn't say that I pulled like a big audience or anything
But not too
with
bad
me to
though.
start the show
It
matches.
was enough. It was enough certainly to kind of get it rolling with, right? Um
Yeah, I mean, it's better than the like a brand new channel,
right.
but
Right.
it really, like I did that for like 3 years, and really not no traction was really gained until I switched and started doing the show matches.
Gotcha. That's where you saw the big the big uprise.
Mm.
So let me ask you. So have you ever do you do any casting outside of kind of your own stuff?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the first time I ever did it. All my casting training and stuff was actually I do remember the first time. I did it all myself on my own stream, so obviously unpaid, just doing like
Yeah.
content from it. And then I also did some unpaid commentating for these like bubble tournaments. I think is basically what they were at the time. I'm trying to remember. I think they had bubble teams playing in them,
Okay.
and it was just volunteer. I think it was like a college that was maybe running it, sponsoring it for some reason. Either way,
Gotcha.
I would run those. That was way before CRL existed, and I commented for free. That was a couple times I did that, like in a 3v3 environment with a co-caster, and then I just kind of sprinkled in stuff like that in the future. Uh, I think from then on, I only really was doing stuff that maybe I could like charge or whatever.
Right.
But I didn't do a ton of it. Like almost 99% of all my casting easily is just me on my own stream.
Yeah.
Only like recently towards the tail end of, my career, I guess so far, have I started doing any co-casting or threes casting with other people.
Gotcha. And it's kind of similar to my casting story. I want to go back to what you said kind of about ranked as well. That's I'm the same way, right? Like not only am I the same way in the sense that, if I'm streaming and playing ranked, I gotta really focus. I can't read chat, and a big part of me and a big part of like what I like to watch on Twitch. So I guess I just kind of subconsciously emulated that. Was a very interactive streamer that made every single person in the chat, feel very welcome. And we're the community, we're chilling together, playing games, but we're just having fun, hanging out. And that's a big reason I started doing all my own tournaments, and now it's turned into show matches as a good portion of my current stuff. So yeah, so kind of same thing. And I have one I want to ask you. So Cheech, he's my guy I always go to for anything because I've been around the Rocket League scene a bit, but I'm just now really getting into keeping up with the bigger creators, RLCS, all of that. Typically, I was in my own little bubble, right? And so anytime I don't know something, I say, hey, what's give me something to ask this person, or just give me a cheat sheet, basically. And somebody had said about you was Daniel. Am I correct? Am I remembering that correct? That you had Daniel. Tell us a little bit kind of about that dynamic and how that went.
Oh, your cheat sheet guy was on point.
Okay. Okay.
Daniel was a huge part of the start of my stream. I always looked for players. When I was starting out as a commentator, you don't really have the history and I'm trying to think of the right word, because it's not that people were being mean. I want to say respect, but it's not that people didn't respect me. It's like you just don't have the
The pool.
trust, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, the pull is another way to put it. Yeah, that might be the more realistic way, but I like the word trust. There's like a trust that eventually gets established that you're going to run something good and that it's
Right.
worth their time to play in your event. And I definitely didn't have that at first. And I don't think anybody can get that just off the gate, unless
Yeah.
they're pulling it in from some other part of,
Yeah.
So anyways, some of the people that would play with me, especially the best players that would be down to play, would be the youngsters. I don't know if they just didn't have like the egos yet, or they just wanted to get in as many games as possible. They seem to just want to play.
Yeah.
So, and they were usually like pretty good. So some of them I could tell were like really good, like maybe even as good as everybody, all the pros. And so Daniel, alongside a few other youngsters, would play on the stream a bunch, but Daniel started to grind super hard and was very willing to play on my stream. So there was a moment in which he started to become a superstar, and a lot of that was played out on my stream.
Nice.
So it ended up being very beneficial for both of us. I think
Yeah.
he was always going to soar to great heights probably without me. So I probably tagged along a little bit,
Yeah.
but in a
Hey.
way, I'm sure I gave him a little, a chance to show off and a chance for people to realize how good he was. At least as the fans. I think a lot of other pros already know like rank X and different
Right.
6-man stuff. They know he's
Yeah.
good. And the fans maybe caught on too through the streams. So yeah, he was huge. He's like basically the reason why I had any success and got to where I'm at now.
Well, I don't know if I'd say he's the reason why, but definitely, a big part of that. And did you guys have some type of thing that basically is almost like challengers come and dethrone him, so to speak?
Not officially, not like in a way that like I was advertising it that way or
Gotcha.
anything like that. It just works out that way. People know that I know Daniel and he'll play against people.
Okay.
And so I just use, I knew I had been slightly established enough to get some people, but really the big breakthrough I was looking for better and better opponents for Daniel because he deserved it, and he was just kind of
Gotcha.
just destroying everybody on my channel. So I needed to find better ones.
Yeah.
And RJC, a Twitch chatter who back in the day used to donate a ton to prize pools, like specifically to Johnny's. He came and donated a prize pool to me, or he didn't even donate a prize pool. He said he would donate a prize pool if I went and found if I went and got the best possible opponent
Okay.
for the money. So he said, "I'll give you
Nice.
$500." And this is not like a random chatter. We know RJC. He's like in the community at this point. Like he's obviously good for it.
Right.
So he said, "Go use it as bait, basically, to go get the best opponent for Daniel." So I told Daniel, who has the connections for me, because he knows the players. I didn't know him. I said, "Daniel, can you ask First Killer? Ask First Killer, who's like North America's GOAT,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
especially at that time, because that'd be the best possible game we could get." I was like, "Can you ask First Killer?" And he was like, "Yeah, First Killer doesn't want to." I was like, "Okay, well, let's go to the next best player. Like, can you ask AJ?" And he's like, "Yeah, AJ said he'll play." And I was like, "Oh, sick." So courtesy, and that was like when I finally that AJ playing started to legitimize it more, and then
Yeah.
I didn't have as much troubles trying to find people from then on out. So, but it's just over time. There's so much time you do it, and eventually you just get like connections with certain people, and it's not overnight. Like maybe sometimes it could feel like it is. Well, with other people, like watching from the sidelines.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big part of it. Not to go off on too much of a tangent, but yeah, that's what I try to tell people is it's easy to feel jealous. Some people don't want to admit it, but we all feel jealousy, all of us, right? So yeah, I try to tell people like they were grinding. As you said, it might feel like it's over now. Like, where did this guy come from? Now he's huge, but they were putting in that behind the scenes grind. So when you started the show matches, was it lower rank stuff just from viewers, or how were you kind of setting those up at the very beginning?
So I guess very, very, very beginning, you could maybe argue that I was doing some commentating at the
Shut
tournaments.
up and take
Like
my
if
money.
I every once in a while I'd run a tournament where I wouldn't play in it so that I could view it.
Yeah,
And I think I maybe did some commentating then, but that was I gave up on that pretty quick, and I wouldn't really say I did any real commentating there. The real commentating, I knew from the very beginning that the people I wanted to commentate were just the best possible people I could find always. Like a lot of people have ideas like maybe you do different ranks, maybe you do that, and that could be cool. Some people might enjoy doing that. What I wanted to do was cast the best possible people.
yeah,
So the way I did it, the way my first match went is I put up like $10. I think $10 is a prize pool on a Reddit.
nice.
I said, I'll put up $10. I'm looking for the best possible players, preferably like top 100. But if you're like not quite top 100, I'll take that too. And then two top 200 players
Okay,
said that they would play. That was my first show match. It was like a top 180 versus like 190 or something. So very good. Definitely the top rank,
right, right.
I would say. And then from then on out, almost every stream after that has been at least one player in the top 100. So I pretty much do. There's been some exceptions to that. Sometimes if like I think some players are some next gen players, some young players are not fully in the top 100, or some players. I'm trying to think. I think I've had a couple different like not gimmicky, but like show matches that aren't necessarily
Was
just the top
life?
players.
I can't remember if it was you or Johnny Boy, but was that one of them?
Yeah, I had Life on. Life had a lot of support from a guy who's been in the ones community for a while, just as like a chatter and a moderator,
Yeah.
Akinus.
Yep.
So he was really excited about Life, and he had been really adamant about getting him set up in a match. And he's like, I'll even put up a prize pool. Like I
Oh,
think it'll be
nice.
great. And I have this other guy that I think would be a good match for him. I think it was Scythe.
Yep.
So yeah, we did Life versus Scythe, which is I've always been about the next gen games anyways. So I was about it, and yeah, that was a good match with Life, but they were probably not top 100, which I think is the point you're trying to make, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, not really a point, just really just kind of, curious. I wasn't sure if you had started with low rank stuff or if you'd always kind of prioritized, which it sounds like that is, and whether that's fully top 100 or, right there, high SSL, they're probably, close to 2K and twos or 150 on the leaderboard. And yeah, I actually had life. Life was my most recent show match that I had last week, and I've known Life for quite some time. So he was on Switch. Obviously, that's the whole
Mhm.
life story, right? So a kid named Bawa, big part of the community. Haven't seen him in a little bit. Hope he's doing great. But I'm sure he's just focused on Switch. I always tell him, say, yo, the stream will be here. Focus on your real life responsibilities, you know. So I always consider him still a big part of the community. But he's on Switch. He had his little Nintendo Switch gang. That's their team, and he brought Life around a few times. And this was, probably close to a year ago or so. So I've known Life for quite some time. Trying to think before we can always go back. I'm trying to think before I can stop picking your brain a little bit on the show matches. And I know obviously that's the biggest part. That's what everybody wants to hear about. Um, I tell you what, if we come back to it, whatever, we'll bounce around because the next topic I want to get into is gaming. Have you always been, a big gamer, or was it Rocket League that brought you into that?
No, I played games before that. I'm usually like a one game kind of guy. I don't switch around games a ton.
Gotcha.
Uh, my biggest other competitive game, like the only other game that I've been good at like Grand Champ is for Rocket League, which is I know whatever we're like top 1% at least, was World of Warcraft arenas, like PvP. So I played 5v5 World of Warcraft, and that was in like high school, and I think it was mainly in high school. And I also did like the Call of Duty, any Call of Duty, like Xbox. Like my friends had the Xbox. I'm sure it's
Yeah.
just like friend groups with different ones. So we did a lot of Call of Duty stuff. And then right before Rocket League, kind of didn't really have a game. I think I played like a little bit of League of Legends just recreationally. Like I never played League of Legends ranked. But once Rocket League came out, since then, it's just been almost
Yeah.
the only game I play. Like I'll dabble every once in a while in something. Dabbled in Fortnite for a little bit when everyone in the whole world dabbled in
Yeah.
Fortnite.
Yeah.
But yeah, mostly just Rocket League.
Nice. It's crazy to me because I'm the opposite. I've been a gamer since I was a little kid. Always loved gaming. Always been so passionate about gaming, and it's crazy to me. Almost any other game you come across, it's other gamers, right? Like hardcore, other not hardcore, but other gamers. That's what they do, and it's funny because Rocket League's probably the community or the game that I met most where people are like, dude, I don't play video games, man. I'll hear them make comment like, "Aren't you a gamer?" Like, nah, I play Rocket League. But I don't. That's it, really. Or that was their introduction, into gaming. So I did remember something. I definitely wanted to ask you about show matches. What do you think is the best show match you had? And when I say that, I don't necessarily just mean the two highest ranks possible versus each other, but is there one that you specifically remember and you're like, man, that was they both left it all out on the pitch. They both wanted to win so badly, and it was very competitive.
Um, yeah, that's an interesting question. That's not normally how I think about a lot of matches. A lot of matches are important to me for other reasons, not
Right.
necessarily because the gameplay was like perfect, or really exciting, like a really just the gameplay, kind of other things outside of it were special. There's a couple that come to mind when I'm just thinking about that. There was a really entertaining comeback that Jory has made on Moxie. I'm forgetting what tournament it was. It was one of my tournaments where he was down like 2 games and was down like multiple
Oh
goals in like
wow.
many or just seconds left.
Yeah.
So it should have just been over, and he came back and then he sent it to the next game and then won, and that was
Wow.
huge. And then apparently Jack's run through a couple different matches, Daniel and First Killer, in one of my bigger tournaments that I've ever had, the Fall 5K. That was just, I felt like it was great gameplay, and Jack specifically, winning a tournament, which he hadn't done before, was huge. But yeah, I have other show matches that I like for other reasons, but I think for the question you asked, that's what I'm gonna go with.
And if you don't mind, what are those other show matches that you would have the typical answer if I the typical question of, well, what's the best show match? Like what would you say those are?
So the ones that mean the most to me are one of the first ones that will mean the most to me is the finals of my first tournament that I ever ran, which was Sharp versus Kinsey. Uh, sharp as it was a CRL player. Kinsey still plays
Yeah.
competitively on like Super RT, so he's been around. But this was a long time ago, and they played in like a grand finals of the tournament. Kinsey was 18-0 coming into that one, and then specifically, it was like the first time that I felt like I had really found success and that people wanted to watch the matches. Because I had gotten to 50 viewers naturally, like with no host or anything,
Oh,
and I was like, "Whoa, this is
nice.
like more than I've ever done, or like more attention than I've ever had." And so I was that was like a great moment for me. And I remember being like glowing after the end of it, like, man, I ran a good tournament. I had a good stream and people enjoyed it. People liked my tournament. I used to notice that I appreciate when my views would drop when show matches would end because I'm like, oh wow, those people were there to watch the show match, which
Right.
means they liked the show match, which means they enjoyed the content and they were here
Yeah.
for it. So, but that one's really special to me. And then another one would be Daniel versus Khaled because I feel like Daniel's run, like we talked about, was important, and I felt like Daniel was the best player in the world, and not everyone had realized that yet in
Yeah.
ones. And so everyone had Khaled and Jack and Jorius as the best three. And so I had him play against Khaled, and I think he got a 4-1, kind of
Wow.
like brushed it,
Wow.
and showed he was definitely better than Khaled. And I was like, yeah, I was certain that he was the best player in the world. He went on to tie Jorias in an EU versus NA match, and then crush apparently Jack. So he was one tie against Jorias away from like people almost not being able to deny at all that he was the best, which
Yeah.
always frustrated me. I still felt like he was the best.
Yeah.
But Johnny at the time, he was the big voice in the scene, obviously still
Right.
is, and did not say that Daniel was the best, which was frustrating to me because I knew he was. But I'll stick to that to this very day. Um, so, but yeah, Daniel's first win, the one over Khaled, was huge because it was like the rise for me and like the peak for Daniel. Like,
Yeah.
look, he did it. He beat the best one in the world.
Yeah, that what you had been predicting and saying, and probably against some sort of backlashes, from the community, came to fruition finally. And
Mhm.
not only did you get to see that, you got to, cast it, produce it, all of it. It was you. So yeah, I absolutely love that. And the question Cheech wanted me to ask you, and then we will get to some chat questions. I've been seeing them asking. By the way, chat, you guys know typically I'm reading every comment, but tonight when we do the podcast we don't quite do it that way, but we will get to your questions, so get them ready, please, please, please. When we do, don't spam over and over, just put it once, or if I don't get to it, you can put it again. But yeah, question from Cheech. Is there any moment, kind of, I guess, segueing from the biggest game, is there any moment or specific few moments of your show match that you just remember, whether it's funny or the huge comeback, whatever it is? There any moments that stick out?
I think I kind of mentioned most of them
Yeah, with the games.
just now.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the games. As far as specific moments in a game, I can't think of anything that was huge in a specific game. I'm thinking of Dark when he would pogo and stuff was like so wild. So maybe some of those plays. Um, but yeah, that one's maybe a bit tougher to answer. I'm not sure. There's just a lot that goes on, and I think if stuff is like more full matches, I don't know if there's been a single moment in a single game other than maybe that Joria's comeback I talked about. You could argue that's a moment um, that was pretty special, and I felt like was a very entertaining match. So maybe that.
So a moment he was wondering if you would remember, and I'd like to, hear what you have to say about it. I guess somebody stopped the ball right on the goal line and typed "come" in chat, like come and get it, and the other guy
Yeah,
refused to get
that's a
back.
Johnny match.
Oh, was it? Okay, okay, that was
Yep.
it. That was it for me then. Luckily, okay, okay. Then luckily, I wasn't the one that mixed that up. Um, but yeah, so I think for the most part, we've got through most of the show match casting questions, and not only do I know that chat loves to hear this and kind of get the inside scoop, but me personally, as somebody that does my own show matches, I love to pick your brain, right? So it's kind of a win-win. So yeah, so I do want to do a quick one. So I got all the matchups. We'll just do a quick fire of the NA, what's coming up this weekend. I just want to get a quick fire of your predictions, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I think I did my predictions on stream, so there should be a good amount. I think I had M80 doing well. G2 still winning it. And I think as far as top 8 player, I think I had OG making top 8, which is probably unique. But a lot of people have the same top 8 again, and I
Yeah.
mostly did as well. I had TSM top 8, and I
Yeah.
had OG top 8. And then I guess Pirates of the teams who made it last time, I did not have. So
See, I want Pirates to be top 8 again. Five up actually. This is the second. I'm sure you heard me say it earlier. This is my second ever episode of the podcast. Last week was the first. Five up was actually the my first ever guest. Because he's been rocking with the community and showing me support for a long time, and kind of like how you were talking about with Daniel, he's one of those kids I've been saying, hey, he's one of the next to watch out for, and it's funny because I know Wavy, pretty well as well. He's came to, obviously I throw a lot of cash prize tourneys. We know he farms cash prize tourneys, right? Takes
hmm.
everybody's lunch money pretty much. Um, so I was putting him in the same name, and it was after Wavy was kind of blown up in Salt Mine and everything. And I'm saying, hey, I think Five Up's right there with Wavy. Like when RLCS comes back, keep an eye on him. So yeah, it was cool to see that. And of course TSM, I want them in there. I say those are my top two teams. So let's see. So we'll do the quick fire. So you have, I would say, so obviously match one G2 and leftovers.
Yeah, I had G2.
Yeah, that's it. I think I mean everybody thinks they're probably top in NA, right? Gen G and OG. So you said you had OG, you said?
No, no, no. Sorry. So I gave you I as part of my quick fire. I'm not sure if you. I'm realizing now. Maybe you wanted to go through like
Yeah, I was
each
gonna go
round
through the
quick
match.
fire.
Yeah, pretty much the first
Oh,
round one matches. Sorry, not like the end results. Which
sure.
I like that you gave that as well. But yeah, so second round Genji OG.
Yeah, I had Gen G.
Okay, and then we have G Buffo, which I love to see that. I was a big supporter of First Class. I don't know if you're familiar, but it was five up Buffy. And I can't remember the third. I can't believe that. But anyway, Buffy ended up going to G Buffo, but G Buffo TSM.
Oh, I have TSM.
TSM, gotcha. Dig and Omelet,
Dig.
LG and Incorrect,
Luminosity.
gotcha. Pirates on a Boat and Deleted XD.
Oh, it deleted.
Okay, Space Station, and then what was it? Randy's. They,
Randy's
they
balls,
changed
but
it.
it's Akron now.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I have Space Station.
gotcha. And then M80 NRG.
M80.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I just thought that'd be fun. Do a little quick fire. So since you kind of thought we were doing a little different, so who do you think are the top four, if you can call it? Who do you think make top four, and who do you think wins it?
It's really tough because it has everything to do with how the bracket, how the Swiss
Yeah,
ends up, and how the top 8, and which is like impossible to predict.
yeah.
Um, my top 4 when I did the predictions, G2 Gen G, I think it's safe to put them there, and then I had M80 and Space Station,
Okay.
just because of the way that worked out. I would say as far as the most likely other team, that's honestly not bad. Luminosity, maybe. I don't think TSM. I want TSM to be playing that well, but I'm
Me
not
too.
sure. I
Yeah.
believe in it just yet. So yeah, so let's go with G2 Gen G M80 Space Station.
Nice.
That's what I had as.
And you think G2 repeats?
Yeah, I think they will. I think that to me, and I might be giving M80 undue credit. It seems like they could maybe pop off and have that kind of performance that also puts them at championship caliber. Whereas right now,
Gotcha.
everyone understandably has only G2 or Gen G, and I think that technically M80 hasn't shown us enough yet to think otherwise. But I did have G2 versus M80 in the final.
Okay. Gotcha. Nice. And yeah, I what you said about TSM, I think after, not their last performance in open qual ones, I think they obviously, it's going to be a big test right here, and it's going to be absolutely all eyes on them. But out so I want to get a little bit, and then we'll do. I just pretty much get to know you a little bit outside of Rocket League, be pretty short, and then we'll take some chat questions, and then probably start to wrap up that 30-40 minutes went by pretty quickly, as I assumed. But is content all you do right now? Do you have a career outside of that, or
Yeah, I work a software job,
okay?
and so I do that alongside content creating. I work from home, which is nice,
Nice.
and they're flexible. I can take a break for a couple hours to work those hours later. So that's what I do.
Gotcha. And And if I can ask, is that kind of the plan to always kind of do both with the software number one and content kind of the side, or is there a possibility we ever see say, hey, I'm just going to go full time into content, whether it's just show matches or whatever it is?
Yeah, I would definitely do content if I felt like content could replace the full time job, the full time software job. It happened tomorrow, but it wouldn't right now. It would not replace it.
Gotcha.
And with a house and wife and
Yeah.
kid, it needs to be able to replace it clean,
Yeah.
and it can't right now. So maybe one day, and if it will, then yeah, I'll probably switch over. So
Gotcha.
sure.
And I'll be honest, I think eventually it absolutely can. I'll be honest, and this is just me. I kind of have a certain opinion when it comes to that, but I think there is a time in anything, but especially when you're chasing a dream, that you say, "Hey, I'm from right now. I'm going all in." And honestly, I think if you did that and you streamed 7 days a week and you put every ounce of energy you could into it, I think you'd be replaced. Like you'd be there. You know what I mean? It might be a few months. You know what I mean? But I think you'd be there. And I would love to see it. But obviously, the kid you said one kid.
Yeah, one.
So even one, that changes everything, right? I've been married about 10 years, but one of the first things my wife told me is she didn't want to have kids. And luckily we're on the same page with that. So that changes a little bit because obviously that's the main thing that matters. And did you ever play soccer? I always like to ask this question to see if that's part of what brings people to Rocket League ever. Did you play sports? Did you play soccer?
Did not play soccer.
Okay.
It was my least favorite sport to play. I would say it still is, as far as the big conventional sports. Don't watch it. Didn't like playing it.
Same.
Rocket League's the best. It's just there's no crossover for me. It's a different. Uh, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. It's a different thing, and it's very enjoyable. But yeah, I was never big into soccer.
Gotcha. Yeah, see, people always get soccer, obviously soccer, but I hear hockey a lot as well. People saying, "Man, I love the game of hockey," and this really, reminds me of it in a bit. Me, I always ask because I love sports as well, but I never soccer. I mean, last time I played soccer, I think was second grade PE.
Yeah, same.
We didn't even have a team. I'm from a very small town in Indiana. Which I moved to Tennessee about 10 years ago. But yeah, never played soccer. But we know chat's been going crazy with the questions, so we're gonna take just a few chat questions. We'll keep it. I know you said you knocked out an hour, which I can't tell you how much I appreciate. But we'll try to go ahead and wind on down. Again, this 45 minutes flew by. I was very excited for it. I seen Life, by the way. I didn't know if you know. So Life did pop into the
Mhm.
chat right after. I'm telling you, speak of the devil, it pops up just like that. But yeah, what questions you guys have, chat? So let's see one. A there's Life. We'll start with this. He says, "Who's your favorite player to watch?" I feel like I know the answer, but let's see.
Um. Who do you think it is then?
I think Daniel. I mean, I have to assume from the connection and the friendship. It's different. You know what I mean? When you actually start to meet somebody, because it's easy in this online world, in this social world, to disconnect like how personal you get with somebody when you actually start to form a relationship, right? You become friends. So once it's like that, you want to see them succeed with everything in you. You know what I mean? So that's what I would
Yeah.
assume.
Yeah, I do. I do want to see. I do have that with Daniel. Daniel doesn't play a ton anymore, so he's not the first one that comes to mind
Okay.
when someone asks like who's their favorite player to watch.
Yeah.
If Daniel played a ton, still, I'm sure that would be like the first answer. But he kind of only he plays very limited ones. So I would say that players that do things that not everyone else does, like, are very unique, and that makes them kind of interesting to watch. Obviously, the big one is Dark, as people are saying in chat.
Yeah. Cheech.
Especially his replays, his one's replays. His show matches sometimes don't. His early show matches did, have all the same wonder. Everyone kind of learned how to play against him a little bit, and some of his like key strategies that were doing well for him got countered slightly. But when he's playing in rank two, I think he just has like a more whimsical attitude. I think, and it just the way he plays is just very very unique. Like no one does
Yeah.
anything like him. So that's pretty interesting. And then as far as players, competing like right at the highest level in ones, I think Nupo is kind of like the uh, culmination of that in a way that can get away with like winning and not being too overly risky. And so those are the kind of the first couple guys that come
Nice.
to mind. I would say when a question like that's asked.
And I've had I'm sure you have as well, but probably way more than me. But I've had AZAP on a few times, and man, that what you just said reminded me of that. It's so unique. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not like anything you watch, and when you're at the level, you put as many hours. I'm sure you again have a lot more than me, but I have about 3,500 hours in Rocket League, and you've casted so many people, all this, and you've never seen anybody with that specific type of card control and using it in that manner. So yeah, that's awesome. I want to make sure we don't skip too many questions. So let's see. I seen Bloop had one. Zaoki's been asking the whole time, so I'll add to it. He wants to know, who do you think will overcome Zen in RLCS, but I want to add to that and say, there's an if to that. If and who and will it ever happen? I mean,
So at some point, someone will overcome Zen. I don't think
on the
that.
decline though. So I mean, do you think, I guess sorry
Yeah,
to cut you off, but will he go down as the best ever? Because there's a difference between overcoming them when they're close to retiring as far as overcoming their peak.
yeah, it's a tough question. I think that we're still in the Zen era, and so I think that the Zen is unique, unlike any rookie before. People have compared him to Scrubkill and stuff, but I don't think it's really comparable. He gets Daniel gets unfair comparisons, if you ask me, held to like a standard that it's just different.
Yeah,
Zen is next level. So I don't think about anybody who's coming to take him over. I think the best chance this season, if you were to ask like who could maybe do it, and I don't think so far it's happened necessarily, but Nupo, who I mentioned before,
yeah,
could have like another breakout season. I think maybe Zen's team around him might be better and allow for, to enable his success and enable his wins. Because at the end of the day, Zen's very good, but would he have one guaranteed for sure without like solid teammates as well?
right,
Probably not. Not that Nupo's teammates over on Rule 1 aren't good, but I think it's just a little bit different
yeah,
than where Vitality was at pre Zen. But yeah, Nupo has the best chance. Even then, I wouldn't be like saying it's going to happen. I think Zen is still, holding it down as the best. And I wouldn't say anyone obviously is going to come over and be the next Zen. The reality is, like last time, the next Zen is probably someone who is super young and is grinding the game
yeah,
early on and
yeah.
hasn't, popped in just yet to show that they're, next level.
Yeah. I like that. And I see Bloop, so I'll read a Bloop, but we already answered. So he asked how you feel about Dark's unique playstyle. So I love it. He was already, so we already answered that one essentially.
Mhm.
But I like this question from Under a lot. And I'll let you answer and I'd like to expand on it. But he asks, has there been a moment in your career where you felt discouraged when you already had a solid fan base?
Yeah. Yeah. It's the,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it was considered a solid fan base for the first like 6 months that I was doing show matches. I got like a little bit of success to like put numbers on. I talked about the 10 ish average viewers
Yeah. Yeah.
before. And then I felt like I had, 40 ish or like a little bit more. But I personally, whether I should have felt that way or not, felt like I could be even bigger, or that I wanted it to be even
Yeah.
bigger. And I was there for like a long time. And I was like, oh man, maybe the show match bump isn't really gonna ever continue. Maybe I should quit.
Yeah.
And that was probably like right around, because it's like it's not easy. It's a
Yeah.
good amount of work. That was right
Yeah.
around before the RJC donation that like kicked it off. So
Nice.
hopefully, luckily that came at the right time. And then there's a ton of times that you think that way as a content creator for whatever reason. The most recent tough times have been when I've started to actually transition to maybe doing it full time, because for the longest time I didn't take any money from it. So I
Okay.
started to take money from it, and I saw the end goal. I was like, oh man, I can maybe get there. I can maybe work on it, and then it's kind of like dipped down a little bit, and so that's very discouraging. It's like, wait, so if I didn't get there now, if it's slowing down, will I ever get there?
Right.
There's always stuff like that. And so I think that what I tell people when they're grinding on early on is like, you just have to have fun doing it. And that's the only way you power through that stuff anyways. If you just, whether or not people are going to show up or not, just enjoy it. Like I talked about before, like I just
Yeah.
realized I just had more fun doing show matches than I did streaming. Like at the end, I was just happier. And so I think because of that, I was always going to do that. I know I just mentioned that I was maybe going to stop. And then when I say stop, it probably means let's not go as hard as I was going,
Right.
because I did prefer it a lot more.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's been definitely a couple moments. The biggest moment was probably early on when it seemed like it maybe wasn't catching on. Right before
Yeah.
it did, of course.
Yeah, and then that's how it is. They always show kind of a meme of, somebody digging for gold or whatever, and he's right that far away from the diamond. Had he kept digging, right? I always think about that analogy. And yeah, like I said, I like to expand on it because I tell new content creators all the time when they ask, "Hey, can I have some tips?" And it's not that I'm that big, summertime I kind of pop off last summer. So basically I've had 3 summers. I started in a summer. Last summer it was like, or excuse me, 2 summers ago I was averaging, first time above 40s. I'm like, oh my god, and then last summer, this most recent, I was right there at 50 all summer, and I'm like going crazy. But when school starts back up, that number drops. And I won't lie to you,
Mm.
that first time that happened, I was like, I'm done. Like, I went from 40, over 40 to like 23, I think, in that next August, or maybe it was September before it actually fell the way off. And I mean, it just hit my stomach. I'm like, I'm done. I have this. But now I kind of understand, right, that there's things out of your control like school starting, and I just compare then. So I'm like, okay, last August I dipped down to 23. This August I dipped down to like 31. So okay, so I'm seeing progress, even though I'm seeing in the short time, I'm seeing a downward trend compared to a year ago. It's still upward, right? And still trying to kind of focus on the positives. But yeah, that's what I tell people. I say, anybody can be a streamer on the up times. When your stream's popping off and you're doing better than you usually are and you're feeling good and people are chatting and you're having fun, it's easy. It's those downtimes that really make or break. And that's why I really appreciated that question from him, and I appreciate your answer as well. And Sway's been asking one. Hold on, let me make sure I get this one, and then we'll probably just take one more after this because I know we've taken up enough of your time. So he wants to know, what's the process like getting 2 players for a show match, picking the players, organizing them, etc.
So like I said, the very first time I ever did it, I did it on Reddit. Got 2 random players, um, and then I think I may have gotten more. I'm trying to think what the second show match was. But over time, the best way I got people is I would go to the top 100 leaderboard. I'd click on every name and I'd send a Steam friend request to every single one of them. And you
Nice.
can't send a message or do anything like that to them. So I would literally just send random Steam friend requests. And then people would accept,
Yeah.
which is like insane. Because looking back, I don't accept. If someone sends me a friend request and I
Yeah.
have like no mutual friends and it doesn't seem like anybody I know, I'm like, well,
Right.
why'd they send this? And I just decline it. But I'd send it to 100 people, I guess, and I'd actually try and at the beginning I only did North America, so I'd maybe send it like 50 people, and then 5 of them would accept for whatever reason, and the actual percentage rate for the people who actually would accept, who then said they would do show matches, was actually super high. Like almost everyone
Wow.
who accepted
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah, I'll do show matches."
Yeah.
So I don't know; those things correlate. People who are willing to do show matches apparently also just accept their Steam friend requests when random people send them. So that's how I did most of them. And I always put a prize pool. I'd always say like, you want to do a match for like
I was
ten
gonna
dollars or
ask
here or
that.
there.
Yeah.
And so the system I went with at the beginning was if you were a new player to the stream, I'd never had you on before, then the prize pool was $10. And then if it was somebody who was a repeat player who came back, then the base default was 5, unless their opponent they were playing was
Oh,
also
new.
uh, new. So
Yeah.
then it'd be 10. So it was just 10 and 5, and I did that for a long time. I used the money that I had made streaming for the past 3 years on Twitch to do that, and that was slowly dwindling away. And then right before I realized it was like going to dwindle away permanently, I ran that final tournament as a way to like use up the last bit and see if that maybe would do better.
Nice. Nice.
So now I just have people on my Steam's friend list.
Yeah.
So sometimes I do it
Yeah.
like a day ahead. Sometimes I don't. I look at who's grinding like into the top 10. I'm like, oh, it'd be really interesting. Maybe somebody's on a streak. I'm like, okay, that person would be interesting to have. So I'll message them first. Hey, you want to play today? Yeah, sure. Who? I'll go find it. Message a few people.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to play. So it's Steam's friend list now. Originally, it was creating that Steam friends list through invites on the top 100, and even before that, it was making Reddit posts. So
Nice. I love that. I love how in depth you went. And I gotta say it's funny because well, first of all, they're making fun of me on in chat for not having Steam because I was on PlayStation up until I started
Mm.
streaming. So about right after it went free to play, I got a PC. But I will say you did respond to me, and I like it because that's similar. That's how I've gotten all my. I mean, I haven't done crazy. I've done Wavy Chronic. I said we did Azap Cosmic. Had Cam and Kofor recently. Mizu Zanil. Creams and Lev. And probably another solid 15, 20, bubble pros. When I throw a big tourney, I usually get, about the same. And it's all came from literally reaching out on Twitter first. And that's why people was like, why you have the check mark? I'm like, because it lets me message people. That's why. But I say, I reached out to you, and that's also how, I began, first talking with you. All right, but last question, and then my question. That's where we'll kind of end it. Carto wants to know. Oh, sorry, I was reading that. So Carter wants to know, what do you think about the major, being in Copenhagen? What do you think about the location? And I want to add, will you be going to it?
I'm not gonna go. I probably not. I haven't. No, almost certainly I'm not gonna be going. I think that they just had to figure it out really late. I think Blast maybe had another event in Copenhagen. It sounds like,
Yeah,
and they might have been like, all right, shoot, let's just do another one here as well, since we have some staff here, and I think they just figured out about all this stuff super late, like right before the RLCS started, because that's when their bid was won. So I think it's just a scramble. So I think that the first major being a scramble, no surprise, and
yeah.
I think it doesn't necessarily indicate what we might get for future majors from these guys now that they have more time to prep.
I like that. I like that. And like I said before we get any last thoughts from you, anybody you want to shout out, anything like that. Um, my question is, and Cheech also kind of gave me this one, but I had to steal it. When is the Johnny Boy Fear best of five? And the part I want to add to that is, well, I be the let me cast that, please, and I'll get the prize and everything. We can do whatever, but they want to know, when is that show match gonna happen?
I think my YouTube commenters would riot if apparently Jack doesn't commentate it, because that has been the comment that has put it on
That's
forever,
it.
is me versus Johnny with apparently Jack commentating. So if it happens ever, then that's probably how it'll happen. I got it so much, like my YouTube commenters went so crazy with it,
Yeah.
that I was like, okay, I have to message Johnny. And he was basically like, yeah, well, we could do it at some point. Like, people are making a big deal about it, so maybe we'll have to make it a big deal if it ever does happen. We can't just do it willy nilly now that people want it
Right.
so bad.
Right.
But what was I gonna say? Oh, I actually I created an offer originally for like an EU versus NA matchup that actually had me and Johnny playing as a tiebreaker, kind of like just as a joke if
Oh
if
yeah.
their games ended up to tie.
Yeah.
But he changed the format. He changed the
Wow. He's
format, and he made it
dodging.
different, and he made it so that, yeah, no, the tiebreaker was not, basically made it so there couldn't be a tiebreaker. But even if there was a tiebreaker, we were not going to play. So yeah, let it be known he did dodge the one time I almost set that up, but we'll maybe do it sometime. Who knows? It'll happen eventually, I would imagine, but maybe it won't. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll have to see. I mean, the dodge. Yeah, that's what Chicha Johnny are at. No, dude, we're just playing, of course. Nothing but love to him as well. But it does sound like he's dodging a little bit. I gotta agree with you. But yeah. So you know, kind of last thing I want to say to you is just, again, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you. Not only responding back to me from the first time I reached out to you, just being very down to earth, very very humble, and then coming on the podcast, obviously giving us an hour of your time. I know the community has absolutely loved it. So yeah, massive thank you. And any last thoughts from you? Anybody you'd like to shout out? I mean, obviously, everybody knows you, but any shout outs you like, anything like that?
A shout out everybody who's here, man. Shout out the chat for coming to listen to the podcast.
Yes, sir.
They're the lifeblood. So thanks to you guys who were here. Yeah, my final thoughts. It's interesting that people give me so much credit, I guess, for responding to messages. I don't know. I think that sometimes it's clear to me now, maybe from the other side, that people are, I don't know if they put up on a pedestal, or they kind of think of like maybe creators who've had a little bit more
Yep.
success differently, or like they have huge egos or something. Like I don't know. Maybe I can't speak for everybody, but I swear that people are maybe a little bit busy, but for the most part,
Yeah.
people are just
People.
I'm just a guy who likes Rocket League.
Yeah.
That's what I try and tell people.
Yeah.
And especially like when I'm meeting people at majors and stuff, I remember people, oh, I don't want, kind of weird about it. I'm like, dude,
Yeah. I
we're
don't
just
want
a
to
bunch of people
bother
who like
you.
Rocket League, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so yeah, especially somebody who I knew you were doing commentating and doing like matches and show matches and stuff, which is like exactly what I did. And
Yeah.
obviously, you know, we all started somewhere, so it's like I relate to that completely. So naturally, yeah, of course I respond. And um, incorrect terrors in chat. I don't know. Sometimes I don't respond to DMs, but usually it's because they aren't worthy of responses in a way that like they're
True.
like, I
Right.
hate you, or like they're like
Right.
there's something that doesn't make sense to respond to in the first place. It's like
Right.
somebody who wants me to answer so that they can design an emote or something, and
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
those bots. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
no. But yeah, I try and keep up with that. Sometimes I miss stuff, but yeah, it was nice coming on, man. It was a good time. I'm glad to answer the questions, do podcasts, be a part of the community.
Yeah.
Low SSLs who are more full of themselves than Fear. Oh no, come
Oh
on.
wow, Swayze troll. Nah, Swayze the mod. He's just trolling. I love that though. But nah, you've got nothing but love in here, from me as well. And I guess I'll leave it at, if you ever want to down the road come back on for a part two, or I've already offered. Obviously, if you ever want to collab on something, throw a big tournament, whatever, I'm always here. But yeah, man, big shout out to you. Appreciate it so much. I was gonna say, we'll make sure to get you a shout out, Croissant's already reading my mind. Goated community there. But yeah, man, thank you so much, and yeah, till next time, man. It was a blast.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good time. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir, buddy. Peace out. So I don't think we're gonna do anything else tonight, chat. I was so excited for this podcast. It was kind of all